These guys, interact with this video and you have a free chance to win a copy of Rust. Thanks. Hey guys, Cainebourne with a build tutorial for you guys today. This is going to be my first, so it's not going to be perfect, but I wanted to show you some ideas for some inexpensive starter bases. So first, this is something I showed in another video. Very simple, just a lot of storage. You got your bag, 2 furnaces, you have your 2 chests, and then your tool cabinet in the back there. So that would be a good quick resource shack for you guys to build right away so that you could get started on building this. This is not a complicated base by any means. Actually incredibly simple, and I'll get to the build tutorial shortly, but I want to show 2 versions of this base. One here, which is pretty simple, and then another which ties in with one of my earlier videos, and you'll see why. So first off, you've got a 3-door airlock here, which is nice. Then you've got in the center here, you've got 3 furnaces, a little clustered. You could take a couple out if you want, and a drop-off chest, which also doubles as your entry point to get up to the next level. What's nice is you could just pop up here, go in the chest, grab whatever you need, be on your way. You could stop right there. That would be a great base and very resource efficient. Not a whole lot of walls or things to deal with. Or you could add another floor worth of storage. I've instead chosen, for my version, to have a battlement floor because I like to be able to defend against online raids as well as, and I forgot to upgrade that little frame there, make sure you don't. But I like to be able to defend online as well. I've got a couple more furnaces, I've got more chests to put weapons in. I've got some great viewing angles. This is something used heavily by Casey Mo, Swaggy the Fox, and a lot of other prominent builders. Very easy to do, and you'll see it in the build tutorial. And then of course I've got all my windows. A couple of these I've just left open so I can just show you quickly that I go through there, but these will have bars if you want to add, and then wooden shutters, and this is just double doors that are left open, and again all of that will be shown in the build tutorial. And then my roof I've kept extremely simple, just with the concrete barricades. You could do the rear facing roof pieces and other things like that, but you could see it kind of looks like a shuriken. Maybe I should rename it that, but we are silly and we like to call it the Starboy base. So anyhow, I will show you guys the second version of this base next, and then after that we will have the build tutorial. So hopefully you guys saw my video about cave life about 2 videos ago. I'll have the link in the description. So another cool thing about this base design is that it can be performed inside of a cave. There will be some modifications to the design based on the tight living quarters, but I wanted to show you. I've got a couple of furnaces outside in case we need some extra work to be done. Obviously you got to keep a close eye on those, but you've still got your 3-door airlock system. You've got obviously your internal furnaces, which are going to be mainly what you're using. A little bit of drop-off storage here. You hop upstairs and you've still got your chest. I've had to move them around a bit so they're not as pretty, but they are well protected, still on the 3rd floor with a jumping airlock, and plenty of storage space up here. And then when you come out the back way, the only modification to the design based on this particular cave, and they're all different, I have been able to fit it inside of some of them, is you're missing the square here, which isn't that big of a deal. They can't fit through here. And then that one part's boxed by the cave, and then you still have the 3-door airlock here. You are also missing a square here, but a little more room for some furnaces in the back. The nice thing is the majority of these caves are set up in such a way where basically this is my bucket exit, where I can escape and go back topside. And then if you go this way, the missing square that gives me a 1-wall weakness is protected by another shack going this way. So that makes up for that weakness. And again, I could have maybe put this one a little better, but you can't get through on that particular one either. So that 1-wall weakness is eliminated. So I think this is pretty cool. So definitely very suitable for a compact yet defensible place to store your loot inside of a cave. So I love this base. So now I'll get to the actual build. Alright, now as far as actually building this base, it's ridiculously simple, and that's the point, right? We want something that's super easy to put up, very cost effective, yet it's going to be somewhat safe. So what you're going to do is you're going to start out with a square in the middle. Then you're going to switch to triangles. Add a triangle on every side. Very simple. Then you're going to add a triangle on each one of those triangles. Sometimes flickers a bit and can be a little bit of a headache. And then you simply put a square on the end of each one of those triangles. And then, of course, you're going to want to upgrade that right away. So at this point, no risk, really, because all you've done is upgraded your foundation. You can go out and gather again, do what you need to do. When you're done, you've basically got your star surrounded by squares. Alright, so now from here, you're going to decide which way you want your door to be. And you're going to set up your triple airlock. Now, if you are building on a heavy populated server and having lots of problems, you could go ahead and upgrade this as soon as possible and just start out with this shack here. So now you've just basically got your traditional, square, but you've got airlocks attached to it. So that would be one way to do it. So we'll go ahead and upgrade these walls immediately. And of course, you could start out with the door on your innermost sanctum, then add the airlock, and now you've got an additional airlock. And so you've already created a little bit of security for yourself that way if you can't afford the honeycombing outright. The next thing that I would work on, though, is right away raising that up. And that would be something that you do right away to make it pretty secure so they wouldn't really be able to boost in. Once you've got that, you're going to want to place a ladder hatch up here. And then we can go ahead and upgrade this. So again, being early in day one, you're probably going to be somewhat safe leaving this open, but not really, right? Because obviously somebody could jump up here and get up here. So if you're not going to build this all together at once, I would recommend maybe even sealing it with like wood and then chopping it out. It's completely up to you how you want to go about it, but really this doesn't take that many resources. And I will show you something you can build close by that's very inexpensive that will allow you to build this and still keep your goods inside there while you're getting set up. So now you've got your triple airlock in place. Now what I would suggest working on is obviously getting that hatch done. Again, it's up to you how you want to approach this. Like the steps. You're going to need to put a large chest inside so that you can get up there. Again, up to you when you want to start the honeycombing. That could be the last portion. That's totally up to you. What I would typically do is I'd make sure I have enough to finish this whole base. So then I would go ahead and place my outer walls. Go ahead and upgrade those. Now what I did too sometimes when I first built this base was I left these walls down initially so I could be able to get in and out easily and back my way out of the honeycombing. Obviously because I'm in creative mode right now this is going to be a little bit easier, but you can definitely walk through here and do what you need to do pretty easily. And if some of these walls end up the wrong way, that's fine. We're in creative. I'm just wanting to build this, but obviously always being extremely careful about your wall placement. Now, even if you were building this way and you were not in creative mode, you can still get up here because of the ladder hatch. You could jump down and you'd be able to go ahead and double check the walls and do your upgrading and everything. Just be careful that you don't fall inside of the honeycombing, which is my favorite move when I'm not in creative, is to get stuck inside my own honeycombing. But like I said, you could have left these two walls and you could have backed your way through here and done all this upgrading. For the sake of the video, I'm going to do it a little bit quicker. Okay. So there you've got your star honeycombing, and you're going to do the same thing with the next layer. Pretty darn simple. Add your outer layers. Again, in the interest of time, some of these might not end up the correct route, the correct direction. Alright, like so. So now you've got your honeycombing done. You're going to want to upgrade these as well. Alright, so honeycombing is done, and like I said, obviously you would have been running around and completing these upgrades. Now, you're actually going to want to fill in just these triangles and get those upgraded. Never want to fill in your actual honeycombing because you don't want people to be able to boost up and get on there. You want them to be trapped in the honeycombing. Now you're going to place your chests and let them hang over the line. It's up to you how much, but I definitely want to be able to actually see them and loot them and everything. So I'm going to put them over a touch. Make sure they're hanging over that line though, because then the very next thing you're going to do is place these low walls. You're going to want to upgrade these right away, because if people break them, your chests, or the top chest, is going to fall apart, and you might have some trouble upgrading those once you've placed these boxes. And then you're just going to place the boxes up top. You can be real picky about the placement. In the interest of time, I probably won't make them perfect here. But not too bad. Now, what you do with the upper layer is up to you a little bit from here. But let me finish off this layer first, and then I'll show you what we're going to do with the next level if we even decide to have some. Now, if it's early game, I'm going to be done right here because this was already somewhat resource intensive getting to this point, but really not that bad at all. I'll have the exact resource cost in the description for you guys. Might be easier to add these walls before you place the chests, but you can certainly do it after. Go ahead and upgrade those walls. Now, sometimes I'll add a ladder hatch up here, sometimes I will not. It depends. Especially if I have this base up top and then I build it again inside of a cave, I might not even bother because I've already got a subterranean base with a similar setup, and so I will use this base up top as my presence above ground, but I will then have another one of these underneath the ground. But A lot of times, if this is your only base or if you just want a little bit more space, then what I would do is continue upward. So let me jump in here and add the roof where we need it. Some people have varying levels of security too. I mean, you could continue the honeycomb up and just do the same thing and have those chests again if you wanted to, or you can do something different. So I'll leave that open to interpretation. Every base should be different. Again, you could add another layer of these chests. You could just finish the roof. We're done right there, and it's not all together that resource intensive. But what some people might decide to do would be to turn this into a combat floor. And I really like that idea. So what you're basically doing is at the end of each square and triangle, you're placing a triangle. Now again, you don't have to do this part. If you just want to use it as a storage base, then stop where I just finished and you can put just a roof on. But I am going to add a combat floor at the top of this for at least the external base, because you want to be able to defend your loot if in fact you decide to live here. So make sure you put the door frames on either edge, like so. And I know a lot of people hurry through the build tutorial and don't do maybe as much talking as I'm doing, but I want you to know that you have options, and I want you to know that I'm aware, because I actually play the game, that you don't always have all the time in the world to build these sorts of things. And actually, I'm putting walls up here. What I really want to do is put windows, because if this is a combat floor, you're going to want to be able to have full vision up here. Like so. Go ahead and upgrade everything. Don't forget to upgrade those door frames. That's something I see people do quite often. Alright, like so. And now you have a really nice combat floor built on top of your starbase. So I think it's a very cool, inexpensive, affordable base that you can have a lot of fun with. And in case you haven't seen these, I mean, Casey Mo has done these doors for a long time, as does Swaggy the Fox, which is a buddy of mine. This will give you full coverage to be able to see what's going on, so you don't have any blind angles on your base. So you're going to want to make sure that you put double doors on each one of these. Be careful about your placement. As you can see, I just put this door on backwards. You want to make sure that the door is facing outward so that they work properly. Like so. And this last one. headache. So there you go. So now you've got your doors on every side, making this a pretty cool defensible base. And then finally, obviously you're going to want to place a roof on this base. You can place all of your squares. I usually start with squares because that's the easiest. And you're going to place all of your triangles. Then again, you're going to probably want yourself roof access up here so that you can place a ladder hatch. Which for some reason is being a real pain in the neck right now. We'll come back to that shortly. Go ahead and upgrade this. Now you'll notice I haven't placed a tool cabinet yet, and that is by design because I want to discuss a little bit about where I would want to put it. Yay, finally let me put the ladder hatch. Okay. So now, you see the completed project. Actually looks pretty cool. And like I said, a lot simpler than a lot of the fancier bases that you see out there. And yet, in practice, I think it's pretty defensible. Super easy to build. Like I said, you could stop literally right here. You could just build that honeycombing and have this initial portion done here and just have a quick storage drop off, and that's it. Very inexpensive resource point if you stop right there. If you do decide to continue up, you could have more storage. So you literally keep opening to more and more storage this way. Or you could add a combat floor, as I have done, which I think is really cool because now you've actually got a way to defend your loot. So as you decide to build on, you continue upward. You could continue to have floors, or you can build a roof. And then the roof, I say, do whatever you want with it. It's really up to you. You know, but one option would be to do those actual roofs when you go backwards with them. And this is another thing I borrowed from a lot of other YouTubers, is when you put the roof on backwards. Not the easiest thing in the world to do, but you can do it. You just have to kind of reach out. And so then you get, you know, some nice defensible battlements. But you actually have to fool the game into thinking you're coming from the other side, which is the tricky part. Another thing that you could do with this would be just to put low walls, or also you could put concrete barricades. You could just simply put a bunch of the barricades around, you know, and then you could still use these side angles and stuff. So like I said, make the roof exactly, you know, whatever you think is best. That's up to you. I'm not as concerned about the roof, but I think this is a very cool, affordable base and fairly easy to build. So the last portion I don't want to forget or gloss over, but I just wanted to point out that there are multiple options, is the crib boxes. I have decided to put one inside the wall here on the 4th floor, and then I have one on the 4th floor buried inside the honeycombing right here, and it actually is just right next to that furnace room. You can put them wherever you want. I used to put it upstairs, But if you put it, I mean, for one, if you put it in here, they're going to kind of see it sticking up over the boxes, so it's easier to get to. But it is probably a very secure point. If you put it on the second level, or the third level rather, on top of the honeycombing, you're creating a potential weak point, because if they blast in from the outside, they're going to be able to jump up on that shelf. So I settled on putting one in here and one down there, but I will leave that up to you guys to tweak, and maybe leave something in the comments if you have better placement for the tool cabinet.